All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to be in the 135 pound and the 140 pound division, where let me tell you right now, it is time for Devin Haney to drop those belts, specifically after an interview that he gave talking about Gervonta Davis and how talking about the only person that he will return to 135 pounds to fight is if the money is right. Now, who would that be for the money to be right? There's only one guy that the money's going to be right on, and that's Gervonta Tank Davis. However, saying that, just like I said yesterday on the live stream about Terrence Crawford, to me as a boxing fan, it means drop the belts. Now, before I get into, let's talk about that in this video. Sorry, I did that a little bit out of order, but I was just so anxious to get into the conversation. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135 and 140 pound division, where we have funny situations going on with undisputed champions and belts and money. This has been a theme all this year in conversations related to Devin Haney, conversations related to Canelo Alvarez, now conversations related to Terrence Crawford, the three people that at the beginning of this year, or that during the course of this year have been or are undisputed champions. And now you have Devin Haney in an interview saying that he'll only return to 135 pounds for a fight where the money is right. Now, before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button, hitting the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Now, let's get into this because this is something that I said about Terrence Crawford and got some pushback on it. I don't care because I still believe it is the truth. And now I'm going to say it about Devin Haney and the belts that he has at 135, even though he is no longer the undisputed champion. And this is not a personal thing against them. And it is a thing that I think is good for them and good for boxing, or better yet, just good for boxing and not a bad thing for them, which is they need to drop those belts if they are not going to fight in that division again, unless there's some unique circumstance, because that is what both Terrence Crawford has said and Devin Haney has said just recently. Now, this video specifically is about Devin Haney. So what do I mean? Devin Haney is the WBA super champion. He is the IBF champion, and he is the WBO champion. He has already relinquished the WBC champion and became WBC champion in recess. And now it appears as if Frank Martin and Shakur Stevenson will be fighting each other for that vacant belt. In an interview where he says that he'll come back to 135 for a fight that the money's right, because he has been at 130 and 135 since the amateurs, right? And now he's old, I don't know, 24, 25 years old. And now his body is matured to the point where he's a 140 pounder. I wouldn't doubt that he's a 147 pounder, but that's the weight that he is. So if you're only willing to fight at 135 for fights if the money's right, then you need to drop the belts, because the only one is Gervonta Davis. And so if you're waiting around, say, what if it takes 3 fights? What if it takes 3 fights to get that? That's 3 fights where all these other guys in the division's got to sit around and wait around to get another champion to fight for a championship, where we can get back to where we were before Devin Haney dropped the belts, which is to the undisputed championship. If he's going to be at 140 pounds, you should be at 140 pounds. Also, it's not where people have responded to me when I said this about Terrence Crawford, about me saying, look, if Terrence is only going to fight at 147, if Errol Spence Jr. rematch has to be there, or he'll fight Gervonta Davis at 147, right? Neither one of those two things are happening. One thing for sure ain't happening is Gervonta Davis fighting him at 147. That's not going to happen. 2, Errol Spence Jr. already said he can't make 147. Said it in the lead up into the fight that, man, this weight drain is killing me. He's like said it multiple times before the fight. In the fight, looked like the weight drain really hurt him. So he's not going to be fighting that guy again at 147. Almost guaranteed he'll be at 154 pounds for the next fight, right? So you're not going to, and he's not going to fight Jaron. He said he's not going to fight Jaron Ennis. He's too far along in his career and he deserves it. But what I said in that particular scenario, and I maintain it for the Devin Haney scenario, is that's not the sanctioning body's problem. And that is not the other fighters in that division who want to get a shot at those titles after having waited all the way from last year when after Errol fought in April of 22, waited for what's a reasonable amount of time after that, right? Just July, like July of 2022 and waited till July of 2023. All multiple mandatories, all waited at least that entire year in order to get a shot at a title, and they still haven't got it. So to continue to hold the belt till say you fight at 100, say the next fight, say for some reason Jermell Charlo beats Canelo Alvarez, and then Terrence Crawford fights Canelo Alvarez. That fights Jermell Charlo. Then, okay, so there's that fight later on in December, and then he doesn't fight again to July. So how long would that wait have been for those guys that had the voluntary, who had the mandatory spots? It'd have been 2 years. 2 years. This is not, so no, if you're not going to fight at 140, and all for you not to come back down to 147. And this wouldn't be the first time that happened. Mikey Garcia did that. He flittered back down for a second and fought, Robert Garcia for a second, and then beat Robert Garcia, and then boom, that was it. But it was that WBC 135-pound champion went undefended for a long time. That's the problem that you have when you get all this jumping of weight classes and all of that stuff that takes place. When if you do it, man, just release the belt. Especially if you know you're not going to be fighting in that division. And that's what should apply to Devin Haney and his desire to fight Gervonta Davis. He doesn't have the desire to fight, clearly does not have the desire to fight Shakur Stevenson. So the person with the money being right must be Gervonta Davis. And if Gervonta Davis doesn't care about the belts and you're willing to come back down to 135 to fight him, then what do you need the belts for? Because Gervonta's not going to then enter into I've got a mandatory for the WBO, IBF, and he already has one for the WBA. It's more than likely not going to happen, right? So just drop the belts. So to me, that is what needs to take place if Devin Haney is saying that's what he's going to, and I do believe that what he says he's going to actually do, because it makes most sense for him. But again, just like I do believe that's what Terrence Crawford's going to do as far as trying to go up to 54 to get Charlo or Canelo, because I think that's what makes most sense for him. But that's a difference. There's a difference between what makes most sense for those two fighters and what is fair to the rest of the fighters in the division and the world of boxing who wants to see other champions come up, like a Jaron Ennis, who's at 147 pounds, waiting for 2 years for this guy to get he's already waited a year, to have him wait another year in order to get a championship shot, especially coming from guys that didn't have to wait that long and didn't have to do those things themselves. Got fights, never had to wait that long to get an opportunity for a fight. And that shows you maybe a potential downside of this undisputed thing. Screw 4 undisputeds, 4 championship belts and undisputed. How about we get rid of 3 of them and only have 1 champion? And that way you got to fight your way to the top, period. That's the best way to do it. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.